Organisational challenges are predominantly reported as being the greatest source of stress, noting, for example, deadlines, hierarchies, insufficient time, high work volume, excessive bureaucracy, insufficient resources, and poor management as being stressors. Such environments are relentless, extreme, brutal, and ruthless, Colligan and Higgins say. The consequences they add are problems for employees with concentration, memory, and anxiety. They also say that such environments can fuel anger and irritability, which obviously can be detrimental to personal relationships with managers and peers. All of these things lead to lower productivity. Foy et al. Take this further, saying that the consequences of these things is an increased likelihood of suffering from a range of life-affecting conditions like cardiovascular disease, obesity, and cancer, as well as mental health problems like depression and anxiety. Around 500,000 workers in the UK are ill as a result of their jobs, Ellie Cannon reports. When identifying solutions to work-related stress, interestingly, research cites solutions to problems as being outside of the workplace. For example, movement therapy, support from family, conversations with colleagues, friends, walks, unplanned vacations. Predominantly, people seem to construct the problem as in the workplace, yet solve it outside of the workplace. This seems to suggest that employees do not see their employers as having a role in mitigating the risks of work-related stress. This is reflective of a political ideology that seeks to place self-governance outside of the state and individualised responsibility for well-being. But maybe this is the way it is. There's an inherent reality in this about how much an employer can actually do when self-care does indeed need to be initiated at an individual level. The answer is possibly a two-pronged attack, with employers raising awareness of self-care and mitigating some of the stresses as far as possible, while people commit to taking personal responsibility for being organised, for their nutrition, for their exercise and sleep. In relation to well-being, many of the solutions can be counterintuitive or go against organisational culture. It's been observed that the companies that are winning the productivity battle are those that allow their employees productivity hours, naps, a chance for exercise, a calm, tranquil, orderly environment in which to do their work. This goes against the lunch at your desk philosophy that permeates many workplaces. It was reported in the Telegraph in 2015 that research from Bupa stated that 2/3 of British workers were not even able to stop for 20 minutes for a lunch break. This has an impact on well-being and productivity, as we shall see. Ultimately, self-care needs to be a joint responsibility. This joint responsibility relies on the social support we find in relationships in the workplace, between peers and employees and managers or leaders. Support such as this has a positive impact on well-being by reducing feelings of stress and also enhances feelings of reward for effort. This leads to people feeling emotionally cared for and valued. Picture yourself as a caveman or woman, gazing out from your cosy cave, the fire burning gently, the sun rising across the vista of the land you call home. Except you probably wouldn't call it home because language probably hasn't developed yet. Your family are hungry, so you and your fellow cave dwellers head off to gather berries and roots and to hunt. You're working your way through the undergrowth and emerge into a clearing and are confronted by a beast of some description, maybe a saber-toothed tiger or a wild boar. You're startled and have a choice to make. To help you out, your amygdala, one of the most primitive parts of your human brain, kicks into life and floods your body with adrenaline and cortisol to prepare you to do one of three things: fight, flight, or freeze. This was the perfect response in such circumstances. It evolved that way. Is the beast too big and I don't stand a chance? I flee the scene, physically fueled with what I need to do so. Maybe I freeze. I wait to make a decision. Maybe fear gets the better of me. Maybe the beast hasn't seen me. What do? My family are hungry. The beast is not too big. We could eat like kings tonight, except maybe there aren't kings just yet. I fight, fueled with the energy in me, driven by adrenaline and cortisol my amygdala has arranged on my behalf. So much of that has happened as an automated response driven by my biological chemistry. The problem we have in the 21st century is that our response to stressful events like confronting beasts is still the same response developed deep in our evolutionary past. The beasts we are confronted with now are seldom physical beasts, but rather are full email inboxes, stacked phone calls, reports to write and meetings to attend. We can't run away or decide to fight, except maybe we do. Physically, we can't run away from the computer. We have to continue to sit at our desks, but we maybe run away mentally and find ourselves procrastinating, delaying, putting off, and then becoming overwhelmed. And we end up in a mess. But we can do things differently. We can create a state of flow where we are engaged in the task to the exclusion of all other tasks, so that nothing else seems to matter. We must first find reward in each moment. If we gain pleasure and satisfaction from the ongoing stream of our lives, then, as Sixth Sense Mahali says, the burden of social controls automatically falls from our shoulders. We are living a rich life in every moment of it. This flow comes from being absorbed in the moment, whatever we are doing, to the exclusion of other things that are trying to draw our attention. This relies on having a trusted system that contains everything that is in our sphere of responsibility, so that we are not burdening ourselves worrying about next things, but rather we are engrossed in the current thing. Self-care and resilience rely on 3 pillars: the emotional pillar, the physical pillar, and the being organised pillar. In my latest book, How to Thrive at Work, Mindfulness, Motivation and Productivity, I explore these pillars and how they help us find the balance we need, and by way of introduction, this series of videos gives you a snippet of an insight into each chapter.